Okay, good evening. Our mayor is unable to be with us this evening, and as the role I have outside of Fourth Ward councilman, I also serve as council president. And one of the duties of the council president is to fill in the absence of the mayor. So that's why I am conducting the meeting this evening. So those at home, don't turn your TV sets. You do have the meeting on, so. Monica, roll call, please.
If Judy has any comments.
Oh, any comments? No comments.
Mayor Peterson. Councilman Thurley.
Here.
Craig.
Here.
Alexander. Here. Iden. Borzakowski.
Here.
Double.
Here.
Under the petitions, requests, and communications, item 3.1 is a request by St. Mary's University to host the 8th annual Row Run Ride event on Saturday, April 26th.
Move to approve that request.
Second.
Okay, motion by Michelle, seconded by Jerry. Any discussion?
Just a question, is there any exposure to city liability in this? Or is this something that has been taken care of in the past and the city's liability is covered? I
Mayor
assume,
and Council, we have not done this as a license agreement with insurance from St. Mary's. This is their 8th event.
Okay.
And we've had no issues with them. The only activity they have at the city is the kayaking in the lake park.
okay. Just curious. I'll support the motion though. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, carried.
And I apologize, we should have noted before that item that we do have an additional item for the agenda this evening. It's under new business, the item 5.1. And so that we can consider that on the agenda, we should have a motion to amend the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Paul, seconded by Jerry. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, carried.
And then on to item 3.2 is a request for St. Martin's Strawberry Festival in Sinclair Park on Sunday, June 8th.
Move to approve the request.
Moved by Michelle.
Second.
Seconded by Al. Questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, carried.
Item 3.3 is a request for a temporary on-sale wine and malt liquor license for St. Mary's Church for their church festival on March 15th.
Moved by Paul,
Second.
seconded by Jerry. Questions, comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, carried.
Item 3.4 is a request for a temporary on-sale wine and malt liquor license for St. Mary's for their mission trip fundraiser on March 1st.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Jerry, seconded by Michelle. Questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, carried.
Item 3.5 is an application for off-sale liquor license for Cato Wine and Liquor. The applicants are Donald and Marjorie Brown. The effective date would be March 1st through June 30th. And I believe they are here if you have questions.
Okay.
Move to approve. Second.
Moved by Jerry, seconded by Paul. Any questions?
I have no
Michelle?
question. I just want to note that this deal was done through my real estate company. Although I will not personally benefit, I just want to say that I'm going to vote. I just want to make sure everyone knows that
Okay.
it did happen through my office.
Okay.
Hey, I wanted to come up later.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, carried.
Item 3.6 is a request to eliminate the no parking school zone at 223 Center Street.
I'd move to approve that or introduce the attached ordinance.
I'll second it.
Moved by Michelle, seconded by Al. Questions, comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, carried.
Under new business, item 5.1 is the proposed reduction in utility fees.
Could we have Keith or Judy begin to explain what we're all doing here? I think we all know, but.
Thank you. I'll start with this tonight. Council President and Council, thank you. As we're all aware, it's been quite a winter. We've had extended sub-zero temperatures. We've had lack of snow cover on the ground. We probably haven't seen frost this depth since the 70s, which I do remember it getting that cold. Lately, we've had reports of up to 90 water services freezing within the city of Winona. We think there are significantly more than that, possibly, but we're aware of at least 90 that have happened. First of all, I want to point out that the water service from the main to the house, that maintenance of that is legally the responsibility of the property owners. It's their property, it's their responsibility to take care of that. When people call and ask us questions of what they should do to prevent that, we give them a couple of suggestions. Number one is to measure the temperature of the water. If the water is getting down below 40, in the range of 38 or something, they should be concerned. And at that point, we tell them to, one of the main thing to do is run their water slowly and continuously. Right now, the water in our pipes are around 45 degrees. If they run it at a slow rate, we're recommending that it run at a quart per minute, or a gallon in 4 minutes. And if you do that, that would be an additional cost to the property owner of $70 a month for the combined water and sewer increase. Looked around at what other cities are doing of similar size. Most of them are doing the same thing. They're recommending that cities measure the temperature, or homeowners measure the temperature of the water, that they run a continuous stream, and most of the similar cities like ours are not providing any rate increase or rate fee reduction. There are a number of smaller cities that are. A lot of them in the area are providing a reduction, but cities like ours are not. Want to go back a little bit. It's very important that if property owners do run their water, that they measure it. We don't want it going too fast because it can add up really fast. It can get really expensive real quickly. The standard out there is to run a quart a minute. Anything faster than that can get expensive. Having said all of that, with all the calls and the concerns and what the people are doing around here, city staff is coming back with a recommendation to council to consider the possibility of providing a reduction to homeowners that have had frozen water services or sewer services, and that they run, at that rate, and that the reduction in the fees be $70 a month for up to 2 months. We're anticipating that if there's 200 homes that have this going on, that would cost the city about $28,000 in lost revenue. If property owners do that, we're saying contact the water department at 457-8272. Make the request known to us, let us know that they're going to be running the water, and to provide proof that their lines have frozen in the past. And we want all that done before April 1st, 2014. Any specific questions on all of that?
Gary?
Now, you want to clarify that this is not a line inside the house, that we did have some issues back when it was 20, 30 below. This was an actual line that you cannot take care of. So just to make sure that you clarify that, I'm sure you'll still get calls that 2 months ago I had this issue that they still hired a plumber for, but it's got to be one where the actual main line has frozen.
That's correct. That's a good point, because this is the service line, and what does that mean? That is the line from the home, from the street to the home. You're right, they can't see it. They don't know what's going on there. It's much harder to monitor. That's why we're saying it's important to measure the temperature of the water.
And a way to figure that out in most houses is that all water in your house is stopped, not just a faucet or two on the exterior walls like some people had. Is that correct?
Say that again, all water.
When your main line is out, you have no water to your household.
That's correct.
But a couple of months ago, when it was incredibly cold, a lot of lines froze, but it might have been a faucet that was close to an exterior wall, and that was a pipe. Some people did them themselves, some people hired a plumber, just so they know that. I'm sure you'll be getting calls, but to clarify that it's got to be when all your water in your house is shut off because the main line underground is frozen.
That's correct.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
For the purpose of putting it on the table, I'll move the recommendation.
I'll second it.
Motion by Paul, seconded by Jerry. More discussion? Al?
Yeah, I think we all have had calls from people who've had this problem, and I think I commend staff for looking at the issue and coming up with this plan to address it. Nothing's perfect, so I mean, I obviously want our city staff to continue to monitor the issue, and we may have to modify it, but I think this is a good start anyway for right now. and I would support the motion and this action by the city.
Jerry?
I agree too, it's a start. And there's been a lot of discussion over this in the last few days. And one thing I want to remind everybody, reduction of water bills when it comes to this council is often very not argumentative. We don't argue about it, but it's really hard to get done because in almost every case, it's because of human error. A tenant that left the water on, somebody was gone for so long, you know, it's a mechanical error that wasn't noticed or it was a human error. This is a natural situation. This is no different than if we had a storm and we're assisting people with something that has affected or could affect everybody. This is by no fault of anybody. This is Mother Nature just being pretty darn stubborn, and it's only going to get worse over the next 6 weeks or so. Okay, now that given, and my point is, anybody who then does get a break, this, or if there's any addition, whatever, it's because we're all in this together. Now, given that, I think this is a good start. First blush, I did not like it. I thought it was kind of like closing the barn door after the cows got out, but it is affecting the up to 200 homes that have experienced $1,000 to $5,000 in expenses, so it's going to be a help to them. My thought is, though, anybody who went through this doesn't need, of course, they could certainly use the $140, but they don't need any reminder to keep their water running. They are going to be experts on what to do to make sure it doesn't happen anymore. I would like to know what the numbers would be. Now, I know in a city of our size, I believe it was Sparta, the one that was one of the first ones, and they're giving $50 per household. If we did that, it would be a tremendous expense. I want this to go through, I hope this goes through tonight as a start, but I would certainly like to hear back from staff on what the overall cost is, because if we did other things, and what are some other options, of course, attached to prices. And then the last thing I'll say before I give up let somebody else speak. You say here that, you know, what we're asking people to do, but we're asking everyone to do that, not just after you've had a problem. We want everyone to do this, and because of, actually, here's my last point, I forgot about this one. When we redo a street, we do tell the property owners, we want you to redo your water line. And we oftentimes will assist them with that by putting it on their property taxes and spending it over a period of time. And we all know the reason why that is because we don't want to have to go back in and have patchwork streets. It's a tremendous expense to the property owner, but it's also an expense to the city. And then it's a hardship for everybody who traverses over those roads. And then you have maintenance issues with snowplows and et cetera, et cetera. So it is a benefit to the city as a whole to have the fewest number of these possible. Now, to what expense is the issue? Millions of dollars? Absolutely no. But this isn't something that just affects the property owner. It affects the whole neighborhood, affects the whole city. So if we can have, at the next meeting, some numbers put to other solutions. Not saying we're going to do it, but some other numbers of what it would cost if we did $50 per household, or if what would the manpower be if we took a look at any additional water usage over normal over the next 6 weeks or 8 weeks, something like that. These are solutions that people have brought up, and some of them aren't too far-fetched other than just money. So, and I'm done.
Thank you, Jerry. Good comments. Al?
I think our city manager had a comment.
Judy?
Mayor and council, I just want you to know that we at the staff level spent a significant amount of time trying to come up with a proposal that we thought made sense and helped those who had this most significant problem. Just to give you an idea, we have over 9,300 services in the city of Winona. And if we were to take the $140 credit and allow others to have that up to that same credit, it would cost us over $1.25 million in lost revenue going to our utility fund. So, I mean, it does add up to some significant dollars.
Okay.
And so, our attempt was to bring to you a proposal that really helped those who had the worst problem.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, because I was hoping that was gonna be brought up, that's why I mentioned it. As a caller told me today, they did talk to your staff did a nice job, and they estimated for their household, it's gonna run them about $250. They said they can afford it, and they looked at that $250 additional dollars, could be less, but it could be for them, they guesstimated worst case $250. That's their insurance policy, so they don't have to spend $4,500. I guess the rate is right around $400 an hour on an emergency call, and it takes anywhere from 10 to 13 hours to repair. Do the math, it's a lot of money. So,
There's something costs 600.
well, you probably have to break it.
You know,
I just want to make a comment about that. You're talking dollars, Jerry. To me, it's, you know, and I don't, you know, I'm not in the plumbing business, so I don't know what the going rate is, but that seems awfully high. And I would think that people who feel those charges are not in line with normal charges may want to contact Consumer Affairs at the Minnesota Attorney General's office. You know, I think people I've worked with in this community are very fair and honest, but maybe there are some that.
No, please.
You know.
This was a reputable person who gave a quote, and if it's from the middle of the street back, we know it can cost thousands of dollars.
Well, that I know, but I'm talking about just thawing out lines rather than.
Flying on lines, but in
repairing
some
lines.
cases, you'll have them broken, and
Well,
so it could be that.
But-
One leads to the other.
Michelle,
I just wanna, we had 2 frozen lines earlier in the year. It cost under 600 to defrost them. To have someone, a plumbing company come in, thaw them out from the street to the house. But that was with no broken lines. But I do wanna, I did ask this, I'm gonna ask it now, but tenants that pay their water can also take advantage of this, correct? Because in this instance, there's a family in the house and they cover all their costs, so they can bring their water bill or call the water company and get that reduction as a tenant.
Absolutely.
Okay,
You bet.
just wanna make sure they know that.
Thanks.
Paul?
What I'd like to see is that after, the claims are in, if, you can put together a map to see if geographically there's a particular area in the city that where the bulk of the problems were, that we may have those shallow lines at. And so that we've got some reference point going forward, so that when we do a street repair or upgrade or whatever, that is high on our priority list to hopefully deal with these issues down the road.
We'll do that. That's a great idea.
Anyone else? Any comments at all? Judy?
I do have one last comment. For anyone that may be running water to prevent freezing from occurring, and they have some financial and can demonstrate a financial hardship, the Winona Community Foundation administers an emergency fund through Winona Volunteer Services, and they certainly have the right to request assistance with their utility bill under that program. So if there's anybody out there who does need some financial assistance, it is one place you can turn to.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
Keith, another question. Now with the month of March coming, we're of course gonna be warmer, and I think in discussions with you and other engineers and plumbers, that the warmer it gets, the frost is gonna go deeper, or is that a myth, or is that actually what happens? And, well, one plumber told me today, he says, we haven't seen the best of it yet.
That's dangerous ground for me to walk on. Because you're right, everybody relays that message that it'll get deeper. MnDOT, Department of Transportation, keeps records of the frost depth in the past, and it does not show that the frost ever goes down when it gets warmer. It stays down there. It doesn't go down any deeper, though. It may still go down for another few days as the cold weather's coming on, but once it starts thawing, it pretty much just stays flat, right until, it's interesting because it thaws from the top end. The frost will stay down low. It'll be warm up here and thawing on its way down, but the frost is still down there, but it doesn't go down any deeper from the records that I have. Everybody digs in the street will say I'm nuts, but that's what the records show.
Okay, thank you.
Just one more
Al?
comment. Speaking of frost, I'd like to compliment our city water department for the work they have done in the last few days with some water main breaks. Birch Boulevard, I think, around the high school. I'm sure Michelle was affected by it. But they did a great job on a holiday and repaired those. So kudos to them.
Same here. I've received a lot of calls from people and all their concerns, and I mean a lot of calls. I'm surprised at how many I got. but the common theme, as they say, that when they talk to the water department, not only they're very friendly, but very helpful, giving them the equation, how to do it, the simple stuff, and they were very, very helpful.
I know when this first surfaced, I had a call from a couple living down on Steuben Street, and I called Judy and Keith both to discuss it, and I want to thank Keith and Judy both here for the time spent on this, because it's a hard thing to put together, and I think we had a good response to it. We've come up with something to get it going, so I appreciate the help on that. And as you mentioned, if there is a hardship somewhat there is an avenue that they can proceed with. So just to get in touching base, property owners who have had frozen utility lines are requested to contact the water department at 457-8272 and let us know that they will be running their water continuously for up to 2 months and requesting a fee reduction. So, any other comments from anybody before we vote on this? Anything at all? Okay, all those in favor of the motion? First, we had a motion by Paul and seconded by Jerry. Okay, all those in favor of the motion of, how can we say it, for reduction in water utility bills, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you.
Item 7.1 is council concerns.
We'll begin with Councilman Double.
Keep the warm weather coming.
Keep the warm weather coming.
Wait till
Okay.
Thursday,
That's
Paul.
it.
Okay, thank you. And, like I say, thank you to the water department, thank you to the street department. The streets are looking good. They've been moving a lot of snow, so we're all waiting for April.
That's your
Michelle.
granddaughter's name, isn't it?
Yes.
I have nothing.
Jerry?
Got a couple of things related to snow, not water. I almost appreciated those calls. It was kind of a break from the water calls, but over the last couple of years, I shouldn't say couple, but more and more and more, we're seeing more equipment on sidewalks taking care of the snow, bobcats, et cetera, and it's starting to become a problem. First off, at least they're clearing the snow. I'm seeing more people now, at least in Second Ward, who are not doing their snow. But that's a separate issue, and I know inspections are working on that. If we could hear something about this, Judy, not tonight, but something coming back with, when you're using bobcats, not only is it sometimes disruptive to, the heavier equipment, but then it peels up the sod and it's incredibly unsightly in the following year. And then another issue, what I heard today, this is a full four-wheel drive pickup driving down and pushing it out. And then also, all of these, the heavier equipment, instead of just a snow blower blowing it out into the street, they're dumping heavy snow out into the street, and then when the plow comes along, where does that go? To the neighbor. So if we could have something about that, all of those issues that I know inspections is very aware of, but they seem to be getting more and more and more as there's, more heavy equipment being used on our sidewalks. Thank you.
Al?
Okay, thank you, Jerry. I second that. Got a call from someone who was concerned about somebody pushing snow out in the street, and you just don't do that, period. Council members received the Winona Fire Department's 2013 annual report. I just want to compliment Chief Biddle and his team on a very good report. Always interesting to read how this essential service functions for our city and how well it functions, so a very good report. And then I also want to remind people, the folks that are traveling to our sister city in Japan, in Masato in April, are going to have a fundraiser. They're having a silent auction at the middle school, and I think it's Sunday. This Sunday from 9 to noon. Tickets are $6, and they're available from any Masato ambassador. And I hope we don't get the 7 inches of snow that's predicted for Thursday. Thank you.
Want to make a motion on that?
Yeah, a lot of good that would do, George. But nice try anyway. No, I don't think I do at this point.
Okay.
Under the consent agenda, there are 2 items: the approval of the minutes from February 3rd, and a claim against the city by Rick and Beth Bampenik.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Moved by Al,
Second.
seconded by Michelle. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, carried. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I will move to adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Michelle, seconded by Paul. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, carried. Thank you and good night.
Let's find out what the